Welcome to Yuno and Kenzo Koga.
Where ancient wisdom meets modern life. Subscribe now and awaken with us.
Have you ever noticed that some of the wisest, maybe most resilient people you know actually grew up in really difficult families? Now, life's way too complex for simple rules, obviously, but it is a pattern, isn't it? It's something that really makes you wonder. So this brings us to our core question for today's deep dive.
Yeah.
Why? Why would someone with such, depth and inner strength emerge from a home that might have been full of conflict or control or even emotional neglect? It just seems so counterintuitive. Yet you see the evidence of this kind of strength all the time.
It really does seem that way. And, while Carl Jung himself didn't use that exact phrase, strong souls born to toxic parents, his work, well, it gives us this incredibly powerful lens. Concepts like individuation, the shadow, family complexes, they offer this almost prophetic way to understand this exact pattern. His framework provides really profound insights into how these challenging origins can paradoxically become this kind of crucible for deep personal strength and even unique wisdom.
That's exactly what we want to unpack today. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore how this difficult pattern growing up in what you might call an adverse family environment can, maybe surprisingly, become a really profound path, a path of transformation and personal growth for you. We're going to delve into the process, the struggles involved, definitely, and ultimately, the unique strengths that can emerge when someone consciously engages with where they came from.
Okay, so to really get this, we probably need to start with Jung's idea of individuation. He believed it was the central task of life. So Jung's concept of individuation is this lifelong dynamic process. It's about becoming the unique, whole person you truly are, separate from all the expectations and roles, the conditioning you might have inherited. It's really a journey of self-realization, not like a fixed destination, a constant unfolding of your true self.
Okay, so individuation is this essential journey of becoming yourself. How does the family environment really shape it then? Is there like a difference in how it plays out in a supportive home versus a more challenging one?
Oh, absolutely. That's a crucial distinction. In, let's say, healthy families, individuation often happens more gradually. There's support, encouragement. It's almost organic. You slowly, kind of comfortably step into your own identity. You've got a secure base. And here's where it gets really interesting in dysfunctional or maybe controlling families. This whole process is often forced to start much, much earlier. The environment just doesn't allow you to simply go along. You can't just merge into the family story easily. You're almost pushed, really by necessity, to define yourself, often in contrast to what's around you.
Right, that forced early differentiation. While it must be incredibly painful, it often seems to forge this unusually strong sense of self, doesn't it? Like an inner compass that got honed really early out of necessity. It lets you navigate life's complexities with a kind of clarity that maybe others who didn't face those pressures might spend years searching for. It's not just about surviving, it's like the start of a really fierce self-awareness. So if you ever found yourself asking, maybe even as a kid, who am I really, beyond what my parents want me to be? If you felt that inner pull towards something different, a different you were already starting that essential process. Individuation was happening. You were differentiating, even without the words for it, already glimpsing maybe that idea of loving yourself by not losing yourself in others' expectations.
Exactly. As we dig deeper here, individuation often brings us right up against another key Jungian idea, the shadow. Now, the shadow, in Jungian terms, it isn't just our dark side or the bad stuff. That's a common misconception. Crucially, it's also where our suppressed vitality often lives, our unexpressed creativity, our authentic instincts, the parts that were maybe deemed unacceptable by our early environment. It's this vast, often untapped reservoir of psychic energy, and when you integrate it, it can be a huge source of strength. It holds both what we fear and what we secretly desire about ourselves.
And in a difficult family, wow, the shadow often comes into really sharp focus, incredibly early, right? Just imagine a child in that kind of household. Maybe you were told your emotions were just too much. Your sadness, your anger is inconvenient, maybe wrong. So you learned to hide those parts. Or perhaps your dreams, your aspirations, they were dismissed, called unrealistic, foolish, impractical. Or maybe you learned that love was conditional, that it was only given when you fit in, when you met certain expectations. So you had to hide genuine parts of yourself, essentially sacrificing your true self to get affection. And that's not real compassion, is it? That feels much more like a kind of conditional attachment.
Precisely. When you grow up in that sort of environment, you're essentially pushed onto one of two paths. It feels like a fork in the road. You're either driven to suppress these parts of yourself, burying them deep down just to keep the peace, or earn acceptance. And that path, Well, it often leads to internal conflict, resentment, maybe even burnout later on if you're constantly putting others first, sacrificing your authentic self. Or you're kind of compelled to confront them head on. And a really key insight here is that this second path, consciously facing the shadow, acknowledging those hidden or denied parts, that's what profoundly shapes your character. That's what builds remarkable resilience. It's like a forging process where you actually reclaim the energy and authenticity that was denied. Okay, this brings us naturally to another key Jungian concept, complexes. Jung described complexes as these emotionally charged patterns. They're formed by past experiences, and they often have this powerful, almost magnetic pull on us. What's particularly illuminating, I think, is that these aren't just personal patterns. They're frequently passed down, often unconsciously, through generations within families. They can carry significant weight from unresolved issues in the past, creating almost like an energetic blueprint for how people interact.
That really helps clarify how these patterns can get so deeply ingrained. So a toxic or dysfunctional family system isn't just a bunch of individuals acting out separately. It often carries this unresolved trauma, these deep-seated patterns of control, maybe neglect, or emotional avoidance that have just been perpetuated generation after generation. It's kind of like a script being replayed, isn't it? Often without anyone really realizing it or understanding how it shapes their ability for genuine compassion versus to maybe unhealthy attachment.
Indeed. And one really compelling aspect is how these deeply ingrained patterns can subtly, or sometimes not so subtly, recruit a family member. They get pulled into playing a certain role within that system. You might find yourself becoming the caretaker, constantly managing everyone else's emotions, which can absolutely lead to burnout from that self-sacrifice. Or maybe the scapegoat, the one blamed for all the family's problems, perhaps the peacemaker, always trying to smooth things over, keep everything calm, or even the rebel, pushing back against absolutely everything. These roles, they aren't usually consciously chosen. They're often assigned by the unconscious family dynamic itself, and that keeps the complex alive and running.
Wow, it's almost like the family system has this unconscious casting director, assigning parts. And maybe, as you're listening right now, you might be recognizing yourself in one of those roles. It can be quite a moment of realization, can't it? And here's where it gets really empowering. Sometimes the person who just refuses to play their assigned role, the one who pushes back against being boxed in by those expectations, that's the person who often ends up growing the most profoundly. They disrupt the whole pattern simply by insisting on being themselves. Often at great personal cost, mind you, requiring immense inner strength. So what does this mean for you, the listener? It could mean that your refusal to conform, even if it felt difficult, might actually be the first, most powerful step on your journey, a journey of self-discovery, of reclaiming yourself, learning how to love without losing yourself or giving in to those old controlling dynamics. Okay, now let's talk about why strength so often seems to emerge from difficulty. A challenging family environment, while yes, undeniably painful, can paradoxically push you. It pushes you to develop skills and qualities you might not otherwise have needed so early, or maybe ever. Like, for example, you might develop this really keen sense of emotional awareness, maybe empathy, simply because you had to read the emotional weather at home just to get by, to navigate a volatile situation. Or you might cultivate this fierce independence because, well, you couldn't always rely on others for support. And perhaps most importantly, you might develop inner stability, precisely because external stability wasn't guaranteed. You had to find your anchor inside, didn't you? A foundation for real self-care.
Right. But it's really crucial to emphasize something here. This doesn't mean the hardship caused the strength in some, romanticize what doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of way. We're definitely not glorifying suffering. Instead, it often creates the conditions in which strength must be developed. It forces this internal adaptation, this resourcefulness that might just lie dormant in more comfortable circumstances. The difficult environment acts more like a crucible, demanding an inner transformation, a refining of your will, your spirit. However, and this raises a really important question, Jung was very clear on this, hardship alone doesn't guarantee growth. It is absolutely not an automatic process. Without conscious engagement, those early wounds can very easily turn into lifelong patterns. Patterns of fear, self-sabotage, or even, sadly, repeating the exact same dysfunctional dynamics, maybe through unhealthy attachment or constant self-sacrifice, in your own adult relationships. The pain can just get perpetuated rather than transformed into wisdom.
So the crucial difference then isn't just experiencing the difficulty, it's how you engage with it. It comes from conscious engagement, actually turning toward the pain, trying to understand its origins, its impact, and then integrating those difficult experiences, those insights, into a fuller, more authentic sense of who you are. It's about taking agency, isn't it? Taking charge of your own narrative, moving from being maybe a victim of your past to becoming an architect of your future, and discovering true compassion for yourself along the way. So for those of you listening who grew up in a difficult family, Jung's ideas suggest 3 practical, really powerful steps toward healing and growth, steps that can help you balance caring for your family, perhaps, and truly caring for yourself. Okay, let's unpack these. These aren't quick fixes, obviously, but they are profound paths toward inner freedom.
Okay, the first step is to acknowledge the shadow. This really means identifying those traits or feelings you were told to hide, or maybe that you instinctively suppressed just to survive your family environment. And what's truly fascinating here, often incredibly liberating, is discovering that these hidden parts are frequently connected to your authentic strengths, your true vitality. For instance, if you were told your assertiveness was too much, maybe bossy, that very assertiveness might actually be the key to setting healthy boundaries now, preventing that burnout from constant self-sacrifice.
Right. Building on that acknowledgement, the second step is to differentiate your identity. And this is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time thing. It's about conscious inquiry. It means regularly asking yourself, is this belief, or maybe this reaction I'm having, is it truly mine? Is this how I genuinely feel, or is it something I inherited? Like, is it a pattern or an expectation passed down from my family system? It's about peeling back those layers to find your true core, learning to tell the difference between, say, true compassion and that perhaps enmeshed attachment that might have defined your past relationships.
And finally, the third step involves actively breaking the complex. This means becoming really acutely aware of when you might be replaying those old family patterns in new situations, maybe in your friendships, your romantic relationships, even at work. You spot the pattern. Once you notice these patterns, like maybe finding yourself constantly in self-sacrifice mode or trying to control others out of fear, that's when the real work starts. You make small, deliberate choices to act differently, to respond in a new way that aligns with your differentiated self, not the old inherited scripts. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really is about conscious action disrupting those unconscious patterns, literally rewriting your future and embracing genuine self-care.
So just to reiterate, not everyone from a difficult family becomes what we're calling a strong soul. That path isn't guaranteed, and it takes profound courage, let's be honest. But for those who do consciously face the shadow, who are brave enough to break those old patterns, patterns of maybe self-sacrifice or unhealthy attachment, and who commit themselves to that profound journey of individuation, the very environment that once felt like a prison can, almost astonishingly, become the forge where their true, strongest self was shaped. It really is like turning lead into gold.
As Jung himself so profoundly put it, the gold is in the dark. It's right there in those difficult, hidden, challenging aspects of our past and ourselves that the greatest potential for transformation and genuine self-realization actually lies.
And the point isn't that you are meant to stay in that darkness. Not at all. But by understanding it, engaging with it, by integrating it into your whole self, you gain a depth, an empathy, a resilience that, frankly, just can't be taught any other way. It's a unique kind of wisdom, isn't it? Earned through lived experience, a profound capacity for true compassion, both yourself and for others. So we ask you, what might you discover in your own darkness when you choose to illuminate it?
Thanks for watching the Yuno and Kenzo Koga channel. If this video sparks something within you, feel free to like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more insights bridging Eastern wisdom and modern life. Until next time, stay present, stay curious, and stay connected.